Have you ever wondered why most traders fail, despite having access to the most sophisticated indicators, complex strategies, and cutting-edge trading platforms? What if I told you that the very tools promising to give you an edge are actually sabotaging your success? Welcome to today's video, where I'll reveal why this basic setup outperforms 99% of complex trading. Has this ever happened to you? You spend hours analyzing a chart, checking multiple indicators, watching for divergences, calculating Fibonacci levels, and consulting various time frames, only to miss the trade entirely because you were paralyzed by information overload. You're not alone. This is the trap that captures 99% of retail traders. The market isn't difficult to read. Traders make it difficult by cluttering their charts with excessive indicators and listening to too many opinions. In my 2 decades of trading and mentoring successful traders, I've discovered a counterintuitive truth. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication in the markets. Look at the trading floors of major institutions. You won't find traders buried under mountains of indicators and complex systems. The professionals who consistently extract profits from the market year after year rely on astonishingly simple methods, but they execute them with iron discipline. While amateur traders hunt for complexity, believing that sophistication equals profit, veterans know that the cleanest charts, quietest setups, and most obvious levels often pay the best. What you're about to discover might surprise you. The greatest traders in history, from Jesse Livermore to Paul Tudor Jones, all distilled their approaches down to remarkably simple frameworks. They understood that clarity of thought leads to clarity of action. When the market moves and decisions need to be made in seconds, complexity becomes your enemy, not your ally. Stay with me until the end of this video, because I'm going to walk you through the exact setup that has consistently outperformed the overwhelming majority of complex trading strategies. It's not about having more information, it's about having the right information and knowing exactly how to act on it. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. The truth is, most trading educators and gurus sell complexity because it appears valuable, not because it works. They package confusion as sophistication and sell it to hopeful traders who don't know any better. But today, we're stripping away all that noise to reveal the elegant simplicity that actually drives market movements and creates opportunities for those with the patience to see them. Imagine having complete confidence in your trading. Decisions, never second-guessing yourself or feeling overwhelmed by contradicting signals. Picture knowing exactly when to enter, when to exit, and most importantly, when to simply stay out of the market entirely. This level of clarity isn't achieved through more indicators. It comes from It comes from understanding the profound hidden truth about market psychology. The greatest revelation in my trading journey was learning to let the market come to me instead of chasing it. Most traders approach the market like hunters, desperately seeking opportunities, forcing trades that simply aren't there. They feel compelled to be in a position, convinced they might miss the next big move. This mindset creates a perpetual state of anxiety and impatience, the exact opposite of what successful trading requires. True transformation begins when you shift from being a trade hunter to a trade selector. The market presents thousands of potential setups every day, but only a handful meet the criteria of your specific edge. The discipline to wait for your perfect setup, sometimes for days, is what separates consistent professionals from struggling amateurs. When you stop forcing trades and instead allow high-probability setups to emerge naturally, trading becomes less stressful and more profitable. This requires a fundamental decision about how you approach the markets. Will you be the anxious trader jumping at every price movement, or the composed professional who waits patiently for the exact conditions that have proven successful time and again? What many don't realize is that your most precious resource in trading isn't your capital, it's your focus. The trader with a simple plan will always outperform the trader with 100 tools. While the crowd is thinking, hesitating, and double-checking their numerous indicators, the trader with clarity is already in position, executing with confidence. Every time you add something new to your trading strategy, another indicator, another time frame, another confirmation, you subtract something vital. Your ability to see the market clearly. Your mental bandwidth is limited, and cluttering it with unnecessary information doesn't improve your decision-making. It paralyzes it. I've mentored traders who transform their results not by learning more, but by removing distractions. One particular client increased his profitability by 300% after removing 7 of the 8 indicators he was using. The impact wasn't just on his trading account. His entire relationship with the market shifted from confusion to clarity. The most powerful aspect of simplicity is that it allows you to develop deep intuition. When you focus on the same few patterns thousands of times, you begin to recognize subtle nuances that no indicator could ever show you. You develop a feel for when a setup is truly forming versus when it's likely to fail. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by examining how the market actually communicates through price behavior rather than indicators. If this approach resonates with your trading experience, write in the comments, "Simplicity is my edge," so I know who's ready to embrace this powerful mindset shift. When you learn to see the market for what it truly is, not a random sequence of price movements, but a visual representation of human behavior, everything changes. Markets move in predictable waves of expansion, contraction, accumulation, and distribution. This rhythm isn't random. It's the collective psychology of all market participants written directly in price bars. The revelation that transformed my own journey was understanding that indicators don't drive markets. They merely attempt to interpret what price has already told us. They're like translations of an original text, always losing something in the process. When you develop the ability to read price action directly, you're accessing the purest signal the market provides. Consider what price is really showing you. The raw confrontation between buyers and sellers, hope and fear, greed and panic. Each candle tells a story of this battle. A long upper wick reveals rejection at higher prices. A series of tight consolidation bars shows equilibrium before the next move. These patterns repeat across all time frames and all markets because they reflect unchanging human nature. Behind the scenes of every market movement are the same emotional drivers that have existed since the first exchanges opened. By focusing on price structure rather than lagging indicators, you're developing the rare ability to anticipate rather than react. You begin to recognize accumulation before breakouts and distribution before declines. If you're ready to transform your trading through the power of simplicity, hit that subscribe button now and join thousands of traders who've discovered that less truly is more. This mindset shift requires abandoning the search for certainty. Markets never offer guarantees, they offer probabilities. The enlightened trader doesn't seek to predict with absolute certainty. They position themselves advantageously based on probable outcomes revealed through clean price action. Trading, at its essence, is simply a business of observation and execution, yet most approach it seeking excitement and emotional highs. This is the hidden truth that separates professionals from amateurs. The more you crave excitement from trading, the faster you'll lose your capital. Conversely, the more you crave clarity and precision, the faster you'll grow it. Your trading capital isn't entertainment money, it's your soldier in the marketplace. Would you send a soldier into battle without reconnaissance, without a strategy, without an exit plan? Of course not. Yet traders routinely risk their hard-earned capital on impulse, on hunches, on emotional reactions to market noise. The professional trader understands that discipline in execution is as important as accuracy in analysis. They follow their rules regardless of how they feel that day. They don't deviate from their plan because of news headlines or social media chatter. They've discovered that consistency in process, even with an imperfect system, produces better results than brilliance applied sporadically. This disciplined approach may seem less thrilling, but it creates something far more valuable: sustainable results. The market rewards those who treat it with respect, who approach it with clear intentions and defined parameters. It punishes those who treat it like a casino or a video game. Let's examine how trust in your trading system develops through repetition and how this trust becomes your anchor when market conditions become volatile. If you've experienced the clarity that comes from focusing on price action instead of indicators, type "price tells all" in the comments below. Trust. It's the foundation of all successful trading, yet it's the quality most traders struggle to develop. Why? Because trust in your trading approach can only be built through one pathway: repetition. This is the enlightenment that transforms struggling traders into consistently profitable ones. Consider what happens in most trading journeys. A trader finds a strategy that makes logical sense. They execute it a few times and experience some initial success. Then, inevitably, they hit a string of losses. What's the typical response? They abandon the strategy, convinced it's broken, and begin hunting for the next magic formula. This cycle repeats endlessly, with each new system promising to be the one that finally delivers consistent profits. The profound insight I've gathered from mentoring thousands of traders is that this perpetual search for the perfect system is precisely what prevents mastery. The magic isn't found in discovering some secret indicator combination or obscure pattern no one else knows about. The magic already exists within the simplest elements of price action: clean breakouts, pullbacks to establish structure, and volume confirmations. These fundamental patterns have worked for over a century because they reflect unchanging market psychology. What changes is your ability to recognize, trust, and execute these patterns consistently. This trust can only emerge through witnessing the same setup hundreds of times through different market conditions across various instruments. The breakthrough moment in your trading evolution will come when you stop searching for new setups and instead commit to mastering one approach completely. This is the catalyst that transforms your relationship with the market. When you've seen your setup play out successfully across countless scenarios, you develop an unshakable conviction that isn't rattled by a few losses. This revelation leads us to another crucial understanding. Most traders don't fail because they lack knowledge. They fail because they refuse to master what they already know. The market doesn't reward those who've studied the most strategies or memorized the most patterns. It rewards those who've developed flawless execution of even the simplest approach. Ask yourself honestly, are you still collecting setups, constantly adding new indicators and patterns to your arsenal? Or are you perfecting one coherent approach, refining its application through dedicated practice and review? Behind the scenes of every trading success story is the same foundation. Not a complex system, but a simple one executed with extraordinary discipline. The truly successful trader doesn't have access to secret information. Their edge comes from something far more powerful: the ability to execute consistently what average traders know but cannot implement with discipline. This principle applies beyond trading to virtually any skilled profession. A master chef doesn't use more ingredients than an amateur. They use fewer, but with perfect technique. A black belt doesn't know more moves than a beginner. They've mastered the basics to a level where they become instinctive. The illuminating question that can completely shift your trading results isn't, "What else should I learn?" but "What part of what I already know should I master completely?" Let's explore how this principle applies when trading under pressure, when emotions threaten to override your system. If you've been caught in the cycle of constantly switching strategies instead of mastering one, type mastery over variety in the comments. The true test of any trading system isn't how it performs during calm, predictable markets. It's how it holds up under intense pressure. When price is moving rapidly, when volatility spikes, when news hits the wires and everything seems chaotic, that's when the profound wisdom of simplicity reveals itself most powerfully. In those critical moments of market stress, you simply don't have time for complicated analysis. Your mind cannot process 5 indicators, 3 time frames, and a dozen rules while price is moving against you. The cognitive load becomes overwhelming, leading to the trader's greatest enemy, hesitation. This revelation transformed my own trading. Hesitation kills traders, not the market, and nothing breeds hesitation like complexity. When your system has too many moving parts, too many conditions, too many decision points, it inevitably breaks down under pressure. You freeze, unable to decide which signal to trust, which rule applies, which action to take. Contrast this with the trader whose setup is elegantly simple: clear entry conditions, definitive stop placement, and precise targets. When market conditions intensify, this trader doesn't need to re-evaluate their entire approach. They simply check if their core conditions remain valid. If yes, they stay. If no, they exit. This binary decision-making process becomes their sanctuary amid market chaos. I witnessed this illuminating contrast when mentoring 2 traders during the March 2020 market crash. One trader, armed with a complex system of multiple indicators and intricate rules, became paralyzed as his screens flashed red. The other, trading a simple price action strategy with clear parameters, calmly executed his plan and captured substantial profits during the volatility. Same market conditions, radically different outcomes. The awakening that changes everything is realizing that trading isn't fundamentally about predicting the future. It's about managing behavior, both yours and the crowd's. A simple trading plan functions like a pilot's emergency checklist during turbulence. It doesn't eliminate the turbulence, but it provides a structured response that prevents panic and poor decisions. When the market becomes volatile, when your emotions threaten to override your logic, a simple plan gives you something concrete to anchor to. You don't have to reinvent your approach mid-flight. You don't need to make subjective interpretations under stress. You simply follow your predetermined procedures step by step. This behavioral framework is the hidden architecture behind all consistent trading success. The market itself is ultimately unpredictable in its short-term movements. What is predictable, however, is how you respond to those movements. A simple system makes your responses consistent, removing emotion from the equation. Consider how elite military units train. They don't memorize complex battle plans for every possible scenario. Instead, they master simple, adaptable procedures that work across varied conditions. Under pressure, they don't create new strategies. They execute ingrained protocols flawlessly. Trading excellence follows the same path. The insight that revolutionizes trading performance isn't finding more sophisticated tools. It's developing the ability to execute simple rules with unwavering discipline, especially when your emotions are screaming at you to deviate from them. Let's examine how this principle of simplicity creates conviction, the trader's most precious psychological asset. If you've experienced that moment of clarity when a simple approach saved you from making emotional trading mistakes, type "simplicity saved me" in the comments. Conviction, that unshakable certainty in your trading decisions, is the psychological asset every trader seeks. Yet so few discover the counterintuitive truth about how conviction is actually built. Under pressure, when emotions run high and uncertainty looms, the human mind instinctively searches for something solid to anchor to. This is where the transformative power of simplicity reveals itself. With a complex trading system filled with multiple indicators and intricate rules, your mind has no clear anchor point when pressure mounts. Which signal should you trust? Which rule takes precedence? This mental fragmentation creates doubt, and doubt is the poison that erodes conviction. Contrast this with the trader using a simple system. When market conditions intensify, their anchor is obvious and unmistakable. They trust their setup not because they hope it will work, but because they've witnessed it work repeatedly across various market conditions. This trust isn't born from wishful thinking. It emerges organically from the combination of repetition and clarity. And clarity in trading, as in life, always lies in simplicity. The revelation that changed my own trading journey was understanding that conviction doesn't come from gathering more evidence or adding more confirmation signals. It comes from having a crystal-clear framework that you've tested thoroughly and know intimately. When you've seen the same price pattern play out successfully hundreds of times, you develop an intuitive faith in its reliability that no amount of theoretical knowledge could provide. This mindset shift extends beyond trading into a profound life philosophy. Complexity creates fragility. In any system, whether mechanical, organizational, or psychological, the more moving parts involved, the more potential points of failure exist. Your trading plan is no exception to this universal principle. The fewer components in your trading approach, the fewer things that can break down under stress. A simple entry rule, a clear stop placement, a defined exit strategy. These basic elements, when mastered, are all you need to extract consistent profits from the market. Everything else is often just noise that dilutes focus and compromises execution. Behind the scenes of trading psychology is this overlooked truth. You don't need to impress the market with your intelligence or the sophistication of your analysis. The market doesn't care about your brilliant indicators or complex algorithms. It responds only to your execution, your ability to act decisively at precisely the right moment. When your plan is simple, your mind remains free to focus entirely on flawless execution. You're not distracted by conflicting signals or paralyzed by information overload. You see your setup forming, recognize it instantly from countless previous iterations, and act with confidence born from genuine understanding rather than hope. I witnessed this transformation in a student who came to me with 17 indicators on his chart. After we stripped his approach down to price action and volume, his trading account grew 400% in 6 months. The illuminating part wasn't just the improved results. It was his description of the mental clarity he experienced. For the first time, he told me, I'm not fighting myself when I trade. I just see it and do it. This liberation from complexity creates a trading experience marked by calm confidence rather than anxious second-guessing. The market will always generate uncertainty, that's its nature, but your response to that uncertainty doesn't need to mirror the chaos. Let's explore how consistency through repetition creates the trader's most valuable asset, reliability in performance. If you've experienced that moment of clarity when simplifying your approach suddenly made everything clearer, type "clarity through simplicity" in the comments. Consistency. It's the holy grail of trading that everyone seeks, yet few achieve. The enlightening truth that transformed my own trading journey was recognizing that consistency doesn't come from discovering the perfect strategy. It comes from something far more fundamental, repetition of the same approach until it becomes second nature. Most traders fail not because their strategy doesn't work, but because they never stick with it long enough to witness its full potential unfold. They experience a few losses, which are inevitable with any approach, and immediately conclude their system is flawed. This mindset creates a perpetual cycle of starting over, a journey of constant beginnings without any meaningful progression. Every time you change your trading method, you reset your learning curve back to zero. The data you've collected becomes irrelevant. The pattern recognition you were developing gets disrupted. The mental muscle memory you were building evaporates. It's like a pianist who practices a different piece every day. Technical proficiency may improve slightly, but true mastery of any single piece remains forever out of reach. Confidence in trading develops through the same pathway a craftsman builds their skill, through repetition, not reinvention. E2. Woodworker doesn't gain expertise by using a different technique for each project. They perfect one cut, one joint, one finish at a time, repeating it thousands of times until their hands know the motion without conscious thought. Trading excellence follows this identical pattern of deliberate practice. The revelation that changed everything for me was embracing the uncomfortable truth that mastery feels boring during the acquisition phase. There's no excitement in doing the same thing repeatedly. There's no dopamine hit from trying the latest indicator or newest strategy. There's just the quiet discipline of showing up day after day, taking the same setups, following the same rules, and gradually internalizing the nuances that only repetition can reveal. This transformation in perspective leads to another profound insight about professional trading. The veteran trader doesn't crave new setups. He craves deeper understanding of the ones he already uses. While amateurs continuously hunt for novel approaches, professionals dig deeper into familiar territory, exploring subtle variations and market conditions that affect their proven patterns. Mastery doesn't come from having a cursory knowledge of every trading theory and technique. It comes from exploring one corner of the market until you know every inch of it intimately. This focused depth creates an intuitive understanding that no book or course could ever provide. You begin to sense shifts in market behavior before they fully materialize in price. You recognize subtle tells that signal whether a pattern is likely to succeed or fail. Behind the scenes of all trading, success is this commitment to repetition. The willingness to do the same thing over and over until you extract every ounce of wisdom from it. Each iteration provides data, context, and experience that compound into reliable intuition. You stop guessing and start knowing because you've witnessed the same scenario play out hundreds of times before. The market keeps presenting the same opportunities across decades because human psychology remains constant. Fear, greed, overreaction, complacency. These emotional drivers create the same price patterns today that they did a century ago. Learning to recognize and exploit these patterns repeatedly is the essence of sustainable trading success. Let's examine how this building of belief through repetition creates an unshakable trading mindset that persists even through inevitable losing streaks. If you've realized that jumping between strategies has been holding back your trading progress, type "committed to mastery" in the comments. The most transformative revelation in my trading journey wasn't finding a perfect system. It was accepting that no perfect system exists. True confidence doesn't come from discovering some flawless strategy that never loses. It comes from knowing exactly how your imperfect system behaves under various market conditions. This paradigm shift changes everything. When you've witnessed the same setup win and lose over hundreds of trades, you develop an intimate understanding of probabilities that no theoretical knowledge could provide. You stop expecting every trade to be profitable and start thinking in terms of statistical outcomes across a series of trades. This isn't just a technical adjustment, it's a profound psychological breakthrough. The illumination comes when you realize that losses aren't personal failures. They're an integral part of any valid trading approach. They're simply the cost of doing business in the markets. Just as a retail store expects a certain percentage of inventory shrinkage, or a venture capitalist anticipates that some investments won't succeed, the professional trader accepts losses as part of their business model. Through repetition, you witness firsthand that even the best setups fail sometimes. This lived experience creates a genuine belief in your process that transcends both winning and losing trades. You stop riding the emotional roller coaster of elation and despair with each trade outcome. Instead, you find equanimity, that rare state of mental balance that allows for clear perception and decisive action regardless of recent results. Behind the scenes of every great trader's journey is this progression from hope-based trading to probability-based trading. The amateur hopes each trade will win and is devastated when it doesn't. The professional knows some trades will lose and maintains unwavering execution regardless. This mindset isn't born from reading books or watching videos. It can only be cultivated through the crucible of repetition. Now let's address perhaps the most liberating insight about markets. They're far simpler than most traders believe. Strip away all the complex indicators, elaborate theories, and sophisticated jargon, and you're left with an undeniable truth. Price only does three things. It goes up, it goes down, or it too consolidates. That's it. Everything else is merely interpretation layered on top of these fundamental movements. The awakening that transforms trading performance isn't adding more complexity. It's removing the noise that prevents you from seeing clearly. Most traders don't lose because they lack intelligence or information. They lose because they've cluttered their perception with so many overlapping signals that they can't recognize the simple patterns that actually drive price movement. Simplicity in trading doesn't make you more limited. It makes you more decisive. When your chart is clean and your rules are clear, hesitation diminishes. You see your setup forming and act with conviction because you're not distracted by contradictory indicators or irrelevant timeframes. This decisiveness becomes your edge in markets where most participants are paralyzed by information overload. Consider the revelation that occurs when you strip your charts down to pure price action. Suddenly, patterns become visible that were previously obscured by indicators. Support and resistance levels become obvious. The natural rhythm of market cycles emerges clearly. Let's examine how this clarity of vision translates into practical trading approaches that consistently outperform complex systems. If you've experienced that moment of clarity when you realize the market is actually simpler than all the experts claim, type "clarity found" in the comments. As we've explored throughout this journey, the path to trading mastery isn't found in complexity, it's discovered in the profound power of simplicity. The traders who thrive decade after decade aren't those with the most sophisticated systems. They're the ones who've mastered the basics, who trust their process completely, and who execute with unwavering discipline regardless of market conditions. I share these insights because I've witnessed firsthand how this approach transforms not just trading accounts, but traders themselves. The clarity, the confidence, and the consistency that emerges from embracing simplicity creates a completely different trading experience, one marked by calm decisiveness rather than anxious second-guessing. If this perspective has resonated with you, if you've found yourself nodding along as we've explored these principles together, I'd love for you to become part of our community of traders committed to mastery through simplicity. Click that subscribe button so we can continue this journey together through future videos that dive even deeper into these concepts. I'm genuinely curious, which part of today's discussion hit home the most for you? Drop a comment with "Simplicity is my edge now," and share the insight that made the biggest impact on your trading mindset. If you found value in what we've discussed today, giving this video a like helps others discover these same principles. It's a small action that creates ripples across our trading community. I've created a video that perfectly complements what we've covered today. It breaks down exactly how to identify the two key confirmations every real breakout needs. Click right here and continue exploring how simple setups lead to consistent profits. I'll see you there.